Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we are gonna update our Jungle Master Yi guide.
My blade is yours.
Let's not waste any time and let's hop right into it. So for his pros and cons, he's a great jungler because he has AoE jungle clear and some nice sustain in the jungle from his W. He's got high movement speed and he even has consistent true damage, making him a great pick against even tanky teams. He's even able to become untargetable in his Alpha Strike, meaning he can dodge a ton of skill shots if used effectively. He's really dangerous if people are low, and he's definitely unmatched in the ability to clean up fights. For the cons, well, he's really weak against targeted crowd control, considering how naturally squishy he is as a champion. When his abilities are on cooldown as well, he's also very vulnerable. He won't be able to Alpha Strike to dodge skill shots, and he won't be able to meditate to take reduced damage. Now, he's pretty much always going to be focused down first, which is part of the reason why he's so difficult to play at high elo. Generally, there's going to be multiple champions that can crowd control on one team, and you're not going to be able to dodge them all. If one lands, a solid team will all target fire you and delete you before the CC even ends. He is, however, one of the best pub stomping champions lower tier, and is incredibly fun to play. For our Masteries, we go 18 Ferocity and 12 Cunning, Grabbing, Fervor of Battle as our Keystone Mastery. In the rest of the tree, we very simply grab as much damage and armor penetration as possible so we can delete those targets and get our resets. As Master Yi, these are the masteries I take every single game, and I don't really have any alternatives. On our rune page, we take the exact same runes as an AD carry. This is attack damage reds, attack speed quints, armor yellows, and magic resist blues. This of course allows us to get through the jungle really quick and do a lot more damage in team fights, yet remain tanky at the same time. One alternative I do see some Master Yis do is take attack speed blues. Now, I'm not a huge fan considering the attack speed is a rather low amount, but some people feel like they don't need the magic resist and prefer a lot of attack speed. For our summoners, we take Smite and either Flash or Ghost. Smite, of course, is a 100% requirement on junglers so we can buy our jungler item, farm the jungle a lot easier, and secure Baron and Dragon. Now, I prefer having Flash. It's a great pick because it allows you to escape over walls, or you can flash forward to finish off kills. You can also flash through a team fight onto a very squishy target using your Alpha Strike, kill them, and get a reset, and move on. Now, some people prefer Ghost, basically because you kind of have a little flash in your Alpha Strike anyways, although obviously you need to target something, you can't just use Alpha Strike whenever. This will give you a lot more mobility overall, especially in team fights when you're running through there with your ultimate on top of it. Now, I'm personally not a fan of Ghost on this champion. I mean, I love Ghost as a summoner spell, but I do prefer Flash myself. Now for the abilities, starting with his passive, Double Strike. So, after you land 3 basic attacks, Master Yi's next basic attack within 4 seconds strikes twice, dealing 50% AD physical damage and applies on-hit effects, and can critically strike. Attack speed is already a great way to increase your DPS, but this makes it even stronger on Master Yi. The faster you attack, the more passives you get off, and the more damage you do. This is why we go for a rather high attack speed build. Once we actually get a bunch of attack speed items, our passive actually becomes pretty damn strong. It can add a lot of damage overall. Not too much else to say. I mean, it's a great passive, it makes your jungle clear just a little bit faster than it would be without it. Just a pretty damn good passive, which gets even better as you get items. Next is our Q, Alpha Strike, and this is where it's at. You blink to the target enemy, you deal physical damage to it and 3 nearby enemies, and you reappear at the main target that you selected. And non-champions, meaning jungle clearing, is faster because they receive increased damage. The physical damage base isn't too high, but it has a 100% AD ratio, making it a massive ability. Now, although that's all fantastic, the even better part of the ability is the fact that you become untargetable during that duration. Nothing is quite as satisfying as Alpha Striking over all sorts of different skill shots at the same time, taking no damage and fucking them all. This ability can also critically strike, and basic attacks reduce Alpha Strike's cooldown by 1 second. Yet another reason why attack speed is so important on Master Yi. The faster you're attacking, the more you're reducing your Alpha Strike's cooldown, and the obviously more often you can do it. By far our best ability, which is why we max it first. Next up, our heal, meditate, and goddamn, this ability used to be so broken back in the day on AP Master Yi. No longer broken, but still a great ability. Master Yi channels for up to 4 seconds, healing himself every second for an amount that is increased by 1% for every 1% of his missing health. The minimum healing per second is between 30 and 110 plus 25% AP, and if you multiply those by 4, of course, you get a 100% AP ratio. Now, we don't go for an AP build, so that doesn't really matter too much. The better part is in the second half. So while channeling, Master Yi reduces incoming damage, which is halved against turrets, and the damage reduction is between 50 and 70%. So this is the good part of the ability. This is why we even get 1 point early on. It's for that massive damage reduction. After we do some Alpha Strike damage and go a little crazy, if we have a lot of people focusing on us, we can meditate for a little bit, let our team get into the fight, and then continue fighting when we have Alpha Strike again. Shout out to the people that remember the old school AP Master Yi that was literally unkillable during his old meditate. Our last basic ability is our E, Wuju style, and it adds some bonus true damage. See you later, tank boys. Also great for its passive, Master Yi gains 10% AD as bonus attack damage while it's not on cooldown. When you activate it, however, Master Yi's basic attacks deal bonus true damage for 5 seconds, making Master Yi even a tank killer. The true damage bonus is between 14 and 50 based on the rank, plus 25% AD. Now those bases don't sound that high when you're thinking about a Mundo that has 4,000 health, but remember how friggin' fast you actually attack. When you add this onto your normal damage, you can slice through tanks pretty damn quickly when you're late game. Of course, then we also have the Blade of the Ruined King kicking in extra damage as well. It's pretty crazy late game, man. A fantastic ability, it's not as good as our Q, but it's good enough to max second. Of course, you also have to time this ability correctly. You don't want to trigger it and then go into a team fight, get CC'd, and have it completely useless, getting triggered yourself. Wait until you're in a situation where you know it's good to pop this, do that extra true damage, and go absolutely fucking crazy. Last but not least, our ultimate, Highlander. For the passive, champion takedowns reduce the current cooldown of Master Yi's basic abilities by 70%. So that reset I was talking about, here it is. When you're reducing your basic abilities cooldown by 70%, they're basically having like 3-second cooldowns and shit. If you're cleaning up fights, you pretty much have infinite uses of your abilities, and that's why it's so easy when you see those Master Yis go through a whole team that's low health, because they can keep alpha striking over and over pretty much. For his active, Master Yi pops a bunch of speed, gets a lot of bonus attack speed, and doesn't give a single shit about slows. While this is active, champion takedowns extend the duration of Highlander by 7 seconds, so you can pretty much have it on for a full team fight if you're getting kills and assists. The movement speed is between 25 and 45 based on rank, and bonus attack speed is between 30 and friggin' 80% also based on rank. This is a ridiculous steroid ability, which lets Master Yi just go absolutely insane. You have to be very careful about targetable crowd controls, however, because when they see you in Highlander, you're taking some CCs to your face. Hopefully you're able to see them beforehand and know which ones are down before you go in. And hopefully you also have your Mercurial Scimitar, so when you take one of these CCs, you pop out and still kill everybody. So here is our ability order, and of course we're maxing our Highlander first, as it's insanely strong and pretty much overpowered when you have it. For our basic abilities, we then move into our Q, Alpha Strike, because it's really good for clearing the jungle and adds a lot of AoE damage in team fights as well. Next, for the passive bonus damage and great activate for true damage, we take our E, Wuju style. Last but not least is our W, Meditate. It's a nice heal, but it's not that great since it's based off AP. We just take one single level early on for that damage reduction so we can tower dive and shit. So now that we know what our abilities do, here's a couple other notes on each one. So first, Alpha Strike only makes you untargetable during the cast animation. Timing is key. You don't want to Alpha Strike too early or too late over something like an Ezreal ultimate just to land down or have it hit beforehand. Next, Wuju style does not do extra damage to towers. Do not activate your E when you're hitting a tower because it's doing absolutely nothing, and maybe you're going to get into a fight shortly afterwards and you then won't have your E available for that fight. Number 3, when you are max build, your auto attacks will do more damage than your Alpha Strike. This is no longer true if you're hitting multiple targets, however, otherwise you want to save this to dodge abilities. Of course, it will also be great for closing gaps on targets that leap away, like say Lucian uses his dash or Ezreal arcane shifts. Coming in at number 4, Meditate is great at tanking towers. Use it to tank towers and then you can Alpha Strike to lose aggro. Master Yi is definitely one of the best tower divers out there considering all the damage he has and the ability to tank those towers and lose tower aggro whenever he wants as long as there are minions available. Alright, now for ganking, which is rather straightforward on Master Yi. You don't bring a crowd control, but to a gank you bring a ton of damage, high mobility, and a gap closer. Generally, you don't really want to Alpha Strike to close the first gap. You'll want to use your ultimate or ghost if you took it. When the champion then dashes or flashes away, you can then use your Alpha Strike to close that gap and get a rather easy kill. Now this will of course change against champions that don't actually have a dash or you know that their flash is still down. You may as well Alpha Strike as soon as possible to ensure that you get that kill as quickly as possible. Now of course, like I did mention before, you're a very strong tower diver. Coordinate tower dives with your laners and make sure you get those easy kills on people that are low sitting under the tower. For team fighting, you have to remember that you're a naturally really squishy champion and you have to approach team fights very carefully. If you're charging right into the middle of a team fight, chances are you're going to take some sort of CC and die. You have to therefore keep track of what abilities have been used so you can time your approach most effectively. You'll want to try to Alpha Strike onto a squishy champion when there are limited CCs available so you can quickly kill them and get a reset. If you do get hit by a rather long CC, make sure you use your Mercurial Scimitar to get out as soon as possible and then proceed. If you can only hit tanky targets, make sure you do so. You do a lot of true damage and you can actually deal with tanks pretty effectively. You'll then want to use your additional Alpha Strikes to dodge either large portions of damage or more crowd controls that come out. So here are a few of the biggest counters to Master Yi. So the biggest one is Kindred. Not only does she do a lot of DPS from a distance, but she can easily deny your resets with her own ultimate. Not only can nothing be killed, but your ultimate will also be over by the time her ultimate ends, making it completely useless. Udyr is another really strong pick against Master Yi because you simply cannot duel him at all until the late game. He even has the ability to stop your Meditate with his Bear Form stun, and is pretty much just as mobile as you are. You're really gonna hate your life if he invades a lot, because you have to avoid him at all costs. If he's invading you a ton and your team has no map awareness, you're gonna want to kill yourself. He's gonna ruin your entire game and you're gonna be completely useless, and then your team is gonna bitch and complain that you're a useless ass jungler. Lulu is then one of the best support champion picks against Master Yi easily. She can save an enemy you are gunning for with her ultimate and deny your reset. Furthermore, she has one of those damn point and click CCs, which is one of your biggest weaknesses. Alright, now the item build, rest in peace Ginsu's. The starting items are of course on a jungler, Hunter's Machete, Healing Potion, and Warding Totem. For our core build we go Blood Razor, Blade of the Ruined King, and Berserker Greaves. This gives a lot of additional damage on hit, tons of attack speed, and some great movement speed as well of course from the boots. Very strong core, and I take it basically every single game unless there's absolutely no tanky targets. Two great mixed options would be the Maw and the Steraks Gauge. Both have a great shield which can proc, but also do a lot of offensive damage as well. Keep in mind, of course, that both shields do not stack. Titanic Hydra is a nice way of adding some AoE damage, and Mercurial Scimitar I basically take always if there's some CC, because it's very important to break out. So for some pure offensive options, we have the Phantom Dancer and Static Shiv. Both are great ways of adding some attack speed and crit, and even movement speed. The other offensive items are great as well, but I don't take them too often. Yumu's great activate, LDR great against very high armor teams, Infinity Edge looking for a very high crit build, and Trinity Force is pretty decent. For the defensive options, Guardian Angel is always a great pick, just so you can come back to life, and Merc Treads are great against high CC teams. Then there is Deadman's Plate and Randuin's, which are great armor items that add a lot of health, making us pretty damn tanky. If we're then against a really high AP team, we could get the Banshee's Veil for all that health, magic resist, and nice ability blocking passive. So for my most common example full build, we take the, of course, Core, Blood Razor, Blade of the Ruined King, and Berserker Greaves. At this point, we do ass loads of damage, but we're insanely squishy. Due to this, we get some tanky items in both the Deadman's Plate and the Maw. Great armor and health from the Deadman's Plate, and great magic resist, attack damage, and a great shield from the Maw. We then of course take one of my favorite items last, Mercurial Scimitar. It's got tons and tons of great stats, but the best part is for breaking out of CCs. Hard CCs are probably Yi's biggest weakness, and this helps overcome that weakness. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that covers our Season 6 Patch 6.15 updated Jungle Master Yi guide. If you guys did enjoy the video, please make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching as well. I hope you guys did enjoy the guide, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.
And I'm like, hello, it's good to finally let go. I ain't worried about a thing. I just like to keep it mellow. Yeah, I like to keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep